Hello, and I hope you've had a great Tuesday. Welcome to checking out my channel, The Day Tradester. It is earnings season. This is going to be my first time trying to explain what earnings are, so I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. So I didn't think about doing this until it was too late. I thought that I would be able to capture the actual live performance of the earnings reports on how it affects the actual activity of price movement. If you watched the videos yesterday, you'll see that we have 7 stocks that we actually sold or tried to sell or set sell orders, trying to sell half of the sets of stocks or blocks of stocks that we own in these. And Spotify was one of the stocks that we didn't actually own any stocks, but they actually had an earnings. Their earnings is at 7:30. No, they were at 6:30 this morning. So the stocks that we sold, United Health, we didn't sell anything because we are holding on to the 4 shares that we have because we bought at $602. Eventually, United Health will go up more than likely over time because they are the largest health insurer, I believe, in the world, if not the United, definitely the United States. Then we have Merck, Royal Caribbean. We had 4 shares of Royal Caribbean yesterday. We sold 2 of them, and I'm glad we did. One reason we sell half is I would rather lock in gains as opposed to have a greater amount of loss. So if we, like for example, with Royal Caribbean, prices dropped from 352 to 333, and if we go in here, we might have a result on what. So for example, we have a expected earnings of $4.04, but their actual was $4.38 per share, which is good. So even though they've had a good earnings report, just on earnings alone, prices dropped. Now that may not be the full story. I don't know when they have their actual earnings call where they are live and they're going over their quarterly earnings, and then they could have questions from journalists and reporters and financial experts. So even though the price is dropping, they have when they have their conference call, and I'm looking that up right now, their conference call is at 10 a.m. this morning. They may have a great conference call and investors may love everything they're just saying. So price, it's possible that they might just turn right back around. However, price, Royal Caribbean over the last 2 or 3 months has had a huge climb. Their share price has climbed over $100, which led to, at least with the sale of the 2 shares that I sold yesterday, a pretty decent profit on those. So 10:30 will be a time that I'll pay attention to Royal Caribbean again. PayPal, they've had their earnings call. You can see. Well, I don't know if they've had their earnings call. Their report came out at 7 o'clock just now, so I missed that. We had several of the stocks earnings were released at 6:30. That was Royal Caribbean, Merck, and Spotify came out at 6:30, and I didn't think until the last minute of doing this, so I missed the 7 o'clock release. But we do have one coming out at 7:30, which is Boeing, so I'll try to capture that in the video. So we have PayPal, SoFi Technologies, Procter & Gamble, Boeing, and Spotify. Okay, so it's 7:28. We have less than 2 minutes before Boeing reports at 7:30. You can currently see the price at $236. They've gone down $1. We'll say just roughly $1.45 from their high just 4 minutes ago. You can see the price action. I've put in the times here in which the earnings were released, and you can see the stocks, the movement from UNH 285 to 271. They'll just call that roughly $15. So each one, even though the chart is similar, well, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 stocks out of the 7 that we actually sold or tried to sell yesterday that have gone down. So those are good choices to sell and make some gains. Let's take a look at Boeing's overall price action for the year here. So we'll come in here, 1 year, 1 day. So this is what Boeing has done. So we'll be able to see in less than 40 seconds how Boeing actually reports. And it's immediate, right at 7:30. We should see some price action. SoFi went from 2096 so far to 2228. So that's a significant move, especially for our 36 shares. And there we go, 236 to 237. So we're looking at a little over $1. And that's right at 7:30, and it's climbing. So Boeing has initially a pretty good earnings report. We'll find out shortly. If we get the information bubble that appears, we'll be able to go in there and click. Like for example, we could see where Spot, their earnings was estimated to be $2.27, but they were almost negative 50 cents per share in reference to their overall earnings. Compare that to Merck. They had an expected earnings of $2.03, and their actual was $2.13. And here we go. This is what is frustrating about earnings. We can have an initial move price action up, which was not significant, but it was still a direction that we'd like to see it go. And then it just drops right back down. A lot of people don't trade during earnings because it's too volatile. There are a few brave and courageous souls out there that this is when their favorite time to trade. They'll be gambling. They'll have a belief that the stock might have a great earnings report, and they will bet on that, and they'll bet big, hundreds, thousands. Millionaires out there will bet millions of shares out there, and that's how the rich get richer. It's also how we could get richer. But I don't trade on earnings. I try to limit my losses by selling half of the set shares of blocks that I own in reference to each individual stock. And for now, I'm happy with Boeing. It doesn't seem to be a hugely negative report, even though they've had a lot of trouble over the last year and a half since the door blew off of one of their planes. They've had a lot of trouble. Let's see. So for example, they've had a pretty good comeback. Let's do 2 years. Let's come back in time frame. Let's do a 3-year chart. And for example, so this is somewhere around here is probably where the door blew off. December 22nd. I'll look that up. So give me a moment. So this is a 2-year chart, and I just looked up the date. That was January 5th, 2024. And if we look at all the candles, they're all pretty closely together until we get to here. See this gap? Can you see that gap? I'll zoom in. Boeing was already going down at that point. Maybe there were people taking profits from this gain from 178 to 267. That's roughly, we'll just call it $90. So when there is a huge gain like this, people will take profits, and we'll see a downturn in price action in the momentum. And that's a significant distance away from the 200-day moving average of price. So we'll zoom in here, and you can see, we'll even zoom in closer. You can see there was over the weekend. So this is this is the Monday after the report that a door blew off of a Boeing airliner, and the price dropped from 245 all the way and opened up at 230. So there was a $15 drop, and from there they've just had nothing but problems. From 219 dropped all the way down to 136, and fortunately we've caught some of this price movement. And currently Boeing is sitting at $242. So we're looking at a $6 gain so far on R1 share. We'll drop this back down. We'll return this back to a 1-day, 2-minute chart and this was, which one was this? This was PayPal. So we'll go back to PayPal. And we'll zoom back into here. And prices move back up. Again, initial reaction, bad. Nobody knows why price moves the way it does at earnings. we can have some companies can have great glowing earnings reports and price just move 10 or 15%. And it's people don't know why. I mean, the main reason is some large people are selling. A lot of people start selling, whether that's in the industry, big banks, hedge funds, or just some. It's more than likely not going to be retail. Retail will react positively with positive earning statements, but the big banks and hedge funds, you know, only they know what their plan is, depending on the earnings report, and that'll affect price drastically. So fortunately, we have 4 shares of PayPal that we bought at $77.11. Even if price had continued down, we would have kept holding. We would have held long because we're holding PayPal as a long-term investment, and eventually PayPal will or would have turned around. We'll wait and see as the day progresses how the price moves after the actual conference call. All right, so it's 7:48. PayPal and SoFi still making upward moves, which is good for me. Again, we have out of the 4 stocks that initially went down, PayPal seems to be, well, it did seem to be going up. I saw the price movement, and since I got back on, now they decided to go back around, which is an example of what happens during earnings. SoFi still going up. PG, Procter & Gamble, still going up. That move, we'll call it 157, has moved to 158.26. But the 2 shares that we bought at 165. Actually, we have 4 shares of Procter & Gamble. We set a sell order just in case price spiked up before it possibly would have gone on a downward trend. And the likelihood that it would have gone up $10 is quite low. But anyway, that is the current price action on yesterday's sales of the stocks that went to earnings this morning. I'll try to do a better job this afternoon and do a similar thing for this afternoon stocks, for whichever stocks we have that have earnings at 4 o'clock and later. Boy, PayPal's really moving down. All right, a little bit of time has passed. It's almost 8:45, and now you can see a little bit more price action and how it's moved since the earnings. And we now have 1, 2, 3, 4 stocks that have had their earnings calls, and that gives us a little bit more security in which direction the stock may travel. Even though it's traveling down now, I'm not going to sell because a lot of traders influence the market prior to market open, and they could be selling, and the price might just reverse, which I see happen quite frequently during earnings. I used to sell after the earnings call, and then when the markets would open at 9:30, the rest of the day, PayPal or whatever stock I had just sold would go up for the rest of the day. So I've learned to wait until the market actually opens to see what happens to the stock. And that's regardless of whether it's good news or bad news. Again, you cannot bet on which direction a stock will travel based on the reports or the call itself. Typically, if it is a bad call, stock will go down. I have not looked to see if the call was bad, and you can't make a determination just because of the direction of travel pre-market or after market closes at 4 on what it'll do the very next day when market opens, or today when the market opens. So you can see we've got UNH, which we were already significantly lower. That's, we'll just call that, it's just playing going up and down a little bit. Here we've got Merck. I've got 1 share that we bought at $96 that we've been holding for a while. So at some point, Merck will eventually turn around. As you can see, it was a 10-cent actual earnings improvement over the estimates. So maybe the earnings call will give some direction and price will move. But for the time being, I just wanted to show you how price action, it just varies during earnings, up and down, up and down. SoFi is staying pretty consistent, so I'm hoping once the market opens that keeps going. PG right now is in a downtrend, and Boeing, we bought a 1 share at we'll just round it up to 215. So current price is at $2.39. And again, we don't own any Spotify. I don't trade Spotify and haven't ever traded Spotify. For no particular reason, I just chose a block of roughly 200 stocks that I wanted to hold long term, and Spotify was not one of them. So I will wait until market open, and I'll come back into this and add that to the video. All right, so I'm back to show you how the price actually could change on the day after earnings. It's now 2:45, starting with United Health. They're pretty much flat, maybe a little bit lower than where they started. Merck, however, opened at 80, dropped immediately down to 76, went back to 80 within an hour, and now they're up to 82. And I've got one share of Merck that I had bought at $96. So we're not going to do anything with Merck. Royal Caribbean, immediately they dropped immediately, and they have a wild ride up, opening from 329, and they're at 335. So they've gained $6 after losing 7 right off the bat. PayPal has just been on a slow decline all the way down. SoFi, you can see the wild ride of the earnings. They had a great earnings report, so they went from 21 all the way up to 25. And now they're just slowly going down, and we're down to 22.80 now. Same thing with Procter & Gamble. You can see this slowly rose from the earnings release. It was a good earnings report, but for whatever reason, their forecast possibly for the rest of the year might not look good. They might be bracing for the tariffs, so the prices dropped. And then we have this up and down roller coaster here, but ultimately for the day they're down. Boeing, they had a decent, let's see, they had an earnings report with a loss on their earnings from 84 cents to $1.24. That's a negative, so that is roughly 40 cents negative on the earnings per share. So they've just been going down all day. And we do own a Boeing, and we'll sell that when we get into our activities for the day. So I just wanted to show you how the price can move very rapidly on earnings. They can drop quickly, rise back up, drop again, go back up. Now this typically is movement that it can happen on a day, but not to this degree. On a normal day, we might just have a chop down by 80 cents, go up $1, go down 20 cents, go up 10 cents, go down another $1, and that might do for the majority of stocks. So let's that mink. So that's all I wanted to show you there. So what we're going to do is go back to the day Tradestor chart, and we'll go to the index for the S&P 500, and you can see again today it started out at reaching an all new high for the S&P 500, but it's just slowly been going down. I don't know if that's attributed to the meetings that Trump is having with Chinese President Xi Jinping, and it also might be going down in preparation for all the news coming out tomorrow from Joseph Powell, chairman of the Fed, on whether he makes a decision that he's going to cut rates. It's been a little difficult for Powell because Trump's calling him names, calling him stupid, calling him an idiot, which I don't agree with. It's pretty ridiculous that the president would be doing that. Just by listening to the interviews of Joseph Powell, and when he's in front of Congress, clearly he is not any type of idiot. Trump is just pretty bombastic. One thing I dislike about Trump is the way he calls people names, but it is what it is, and we'll see tomorrow. So anyway, the market might be preparing for some good news. So tomorrow might be a great day tomorrow, and so people might be selling just to buy back in and take that ride back up. It is now time to sell some stocks and try to make a little bit of money. But before we do, I wanted to thank those of you who actually made it through that swamp of an explanation of earnings. It's my first time doing that. I'm sort of new to this, but I will improve with time. So let's get to selling. So with the S&P 500 slowly going down, it's just like yesterday and the day before and the day before. I don't really have a lot of stocks that have hit their sell triggers because we started off the day at an all-time high, and because I have the majority of my stocks in this strategy are part of the S&P 500, many of them have gone up as well. But we do have 4 that we'll take a look at. We have coin for Coinbase, which is a Bitcoin and cryptocurrency exchange. We already have a limit order for a price drop that fell below our purchase price up here. And we do have price that fell below our slow moving average and a continuation. So we're going to go ahead and sell one of those. And the current price is at 372.49. And that went. So there's Coinbase. The next one we want to look at is DraftKings, DKNG. I have 4 shares. Now when I'm maxed out with that, I usually have 16, so this is in blocks of 4. I purchased that at 43.17 here. We have price that fell below our fast moving line and a continuation to today. So I am going to sell 4 of those. Type that in there and we'll come down here, 43.69. And that is from 17 round up to 20, round 69 to 70. So that's 50-cent profit on 4 shares. So $2 of profit on DraftKings. Profit is a profit. I don't care how small it is. All right, next on our list is Merck. It's a pharmaceutical company. And we purchased 1 share of Merck at 96.24. Current prices is at 82, so we're just going to set a sell order at 96.33. So it's going to be a 1, and the price is going to be 96.33. Do it the slow way by scrolling up. 92, 94, 96.33, right there. Oh, nope, I can't do that because anything that I do in here is just for the day. It automatically closes itself out, whether it sells or not. It'll just close out the order without having sold or made a purchase. So I actually have to come into Merck over here on the price, and we're gonna set a sell order. That's 1, and I said 96.33. Yep. 96.33, and that's a good till cancel extended hours order, so we'll confirm and send, and that order is in place. And the last one, which is PayPal, which we had earnings last night. I showed you how that's been performing for the day. We actually sold 4 shares of PayPal yesterday at a small profit, and we had 4 shares today that were at a loss. So we will be setting a sell order for PayPal as well because price is lower than the $77 in which I purchased it. So we're going into PayPal. We're going to sell. We're selling 4. And we're going to be selling PayPal at $77.18 will be the money, the sell order. Good till canceled, extended hours, confirm, and send. So that is the 4 stocks that we sold or placed sell orders today for those shares. Now, PayPal actually had a decent earnings statement. They were estimated to have $1. We'll just round it to $1.30. $1.30 estimated earnings per share, but they actually had $1.40. One strategy that some people implement is pretty much as long as it's a favorable stock in the long term, they will just buy on the dips. So there are lots of people, both institutional and retail, that today they bought down here at probably at the lowest point today. But they're definitely buying, again, some people are brave enough to just buy here, believing that's just going to go right back up. And if it doesn't go back up today, over time, PayPal is expected to go up over the next months and years. So that is 4 shares there. So let's look at our buy opportunities. It is time to buy, and we will have more opportunities to buy a greater number of stocks because the market is going up. So stocks that have been down for quite a while, they are on the rise. All right, so with our buy opportunities, I've got $2,400. So I've got $1,400 actually available to use. And the first one we're going to look at is Berkshire Hathaway, which is BERK/B, Berkshire Hathaway. We had a cross yesterday, which was good, but then all day yesterday it went down, and today it's going down. We have a down on the RSI. It's not usually the best opportunity to buy when the indicators, the moving average indicators of the MACD, are below the midline of the histogram. So we're just going to, with these three factors, we're going to bypass BERK/B. We're going to pass that up. We'll take a look at our next one, which is EW, which is Edwards Lifesciences. All right, so Edwards, need to pause here. No, that's just spam. So Edwards, back to Edwards. Edwards is a stock that I know is the overall price action is possibly still below the 1 month chart. So we'll take a look at that. I got the daily. We're going to go 5 years, 1 month aggregation. Yeah, the price is still below. So although it is in an uptrend, which is good, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months in an uptrend, and it's about to cross the slow moving average, which is a good sign. Let's take a look at what the earnings were. Let's go back to our 3-month, 1-day chart. So this is our month chart, and let's see what the earnings were a couple days ago on the 24th. Estimated earnings we'll round it up to 62 cents. It's actual 67 cents. They initially had a downturn. Hard to tell without going into the charts, but what I will do, because they've had 6 months straight of going up and they're about to cross the slow moving average on the 1 month chart, we'll go ahead and buy how many shares? I'd like to have, when I full with our Edwards, it's 8, but because we're still below the 1 month chart, I am only going to buy 2. So we'll buy 2 Edwards. We got that. Next on the chart is JBL. So with JBL, I sold 2 back here. I did have 4, and I sold, well, actually I sold 1 prior to the earnings, and price was favorable to us. But I've been trading 2 shares for this entire time. So I did sell when price fell below our moving average and the continuation of the next day. I called it that it was still below, so I went and I sold 1. So what I'll do, we'll go ahead and buy back in with 1 at the 230.81, and we'll mark that on our list. So there's 1 share there. So the next one on the list is Lowe's, and this one I think we're just gonna, this also is currently below the 1 month chart. And depending on what J. Powell does tomorrow, this definitely will affect the price action of Lowe's. If J. Powell is dovish and he says that we're definitely going to be looking forward to cutting interest rates, then Lowe's will probably have an upward movement tomorrow. But if he says that he's not going to be cutting rates, then it'll either go down or stay static, and just continue moving sideways, which basically is what we've been doing since June. Well, actually, all the way back here, go to May 5th. We haven't really gone anywhere. So we're looking at 3 months, a little over, almost 4 months, and we've gotten no significant gains. So we're going to take a look at MasterCard. So MasterCard, we had a cross, and we've had a continuation of the cross. And because they are moving down today, we will wait till tomorrow and see what price does tomorrow. If it moves up tomorrow, we'll go ahead and buy in, and of course if it continues down, we will not buy. So the next one, which we're probably going to be buying NRG. So this is an energy stock. We are definitely going to be buying energy stocks. Most energy stocks over the next probably decade or more are definitely going to be, in the long run, in an upward trend, just because AI requires so much electricity. And energy, we also have a deal, Donald Trump struck a deal with the EU yesterday that they are going to be buying a great deal of liquid natural gas from the US. So an energy, NRG deals with various types of energy forms, including natural gas. So we are looking, our current price is $158. I like to have, let's see, 12 of those, and I buy in blocks of 3. So we're going to be buying all 12 right now. So this is our, hold on, let me pause it. All right, let's get all 12 of these. And that should about do us for the day. I'm down at 379. So I wanted all of those energy stocks. So, and the day's almost over, 324. So the $379, the market's been slowly going down. So the likelihood that I'll have an opportunity to spend that in my day trading activities is kind of low. But we are done for right now and making all of our purchases for the day. So let's take a look at our sell and buy lists. Okay, so we sold Coinbase, DraftKings, Procter & Gamble, and PayPal. We either sold or set sell orders, and we did buy Edwards Life Sciences, JBL, which is in the auto industry, audio industry, and energy. So, and we are done making our purchases for the day. Well, actually, I just remembered that we might have some more stocks to sell. So tomorrow is earnings as well for some stocks that I own. So I will have to take a look and see which of the stocks are going to earnings. We had two stocks that went to earnings today, both Starbucks and Teladoc. But both of those are so far below the purchase price that it didn't matter what was going to happen there with price. It wasn't going to move that high where it would trigger. I'm so far behind on those. But I will take a look at what stocks have our earnings tomorrow morning. So after looking really quickly at which stocks I might be able to sell, so in this particular strategy, I've got one stock which is KHC, which is Kraft Heinz. So we'll take a look at KHC. And they are below the 1 month chart. And I've got 4 stocks that I bought at $31.58, and we're at $28.56. When I have all the stocks that I want for Kraft Heinz, I have 16, so I buy in blocks of 4. So all we'll just cancel that sell order just in case it's a great earnings report and price goes up. Because all it would need to go up is $4 because I bought it at $31.54. So that's all it would need to sell, and I don't want it to sell if price does go in our direction. So that is all the stocks that I have in this strategy to possibly have sold. So now I am finished selling and buying. With that done, I'll go in. I set up earnings reports for this afternoon for both Teladoc and Starbucks. So Starbucks, you can see the erratic behavior upon the earnings release. It immediately went from $92.95 all the way down to $87, so roughly $5. And then it's gone from 93 to 96, up $3. So that is not a normal move on a regular day. and this is indicative of what a lot of stocks can do. Many times it can drop down $5, go back up $5, come back down 3, go up 8, and then just shoot down or up or the opposite direction. Earnings is definitely a very exciting time to be trading stocks, but if you're not emotionally set for what can happen, you will possibly get very upset and angry, and we don't want that. So Teladoc, you can see, opened at 755 at earnings. Well, not open, at earnings release it was 755. We're now up to 781, although it did go up to 815. So we're only 30 cents higher and 30 cents lower. So it's very possible tomorrow at opening that it'll continue up. It's hard to tell what the investors and the traders will do with this stock tomorrow. And both companies have had their conference call, so the information on what they hope the rest of the year will be is already out there, which does somewhat influence the stock. But again, like I said earlier, it really depends on what the hedge funds and the large institutions choose to do, because they can certainly move the market by selling. If they wanted to sell 20 million shares of Teladoc, that would definitely move the market and it would go down. All right, so that is all of the trading for the day. Now we will take a look at today's results of our activities. So I just need to go down here and turn these images on. And there we go. So our total gains, realized gains, is we just rounded up to $379 for the day. And so far, year to date, our return on this portfolio is 16.53%, where the S&P is at 9.44%. So we did a pretty good job. Again, the stock market is just slowly going up, so we don't have that many stocks to sell. A lot of this activity today is from my day trading activities, and that is a separate strategy that keeps me busy all day, and then I can't show you in this video. What I'm showing in my videos is, let's go ahead and turn this off before I explain. So we'll close these images, and we'll come back to the day Tradestor. So what I'm showing in my videos are trades that you can make maybe this evening, or maybe in the evenings after you get off work. And if you don't make them in the evenings, you can make them the following day, and you might even be able to make them 2 or 3 days later, because the trades that I'm doing in this strategy that I'm putting on the videos is more of a momentum trade and a swing trade. So these trades can last, for example, I probably bought back here, but from April 30th to a cross to 6 to June 24th, we're looking at almost 2 months. So even if you don't make the trade, whether it's a purchase or a sell, on the day that I make the video, you easily have 1 or 2, possibly even 3 days to make that trade. Most of the trades I make, again, might last for a week, 2 weeks, and on up into 2 months. Last year, Meta went up $700. Almost the entire year was just an uphill run. So let's go. I'll go ahead and we'll pull up Meta so you can see that, and we'll pull up 3 years 1 week, so you can see from January 24, it was just all up until we got to March 31st of 2025. So if you would have gotten in, you could have easily gotten in a month later after I made that trade, and you would have made money on what your purchases on Meta. And this is not uncommon in this industry for stocks. Some stocks can run 2 years or 3 years. So that's definitely to our benefit as traders, because we'd rather make money a little bit more easily than moving around and trading stocks every day. I don't mind day trading. I do it to create cash, because this is what I use. This is my job. This is my income creation, not just for my retirement, but it's for income creation as well. And that's what the day trading affords me. So even though Meta went up for more than a year, I will show you. I know Airbnb has been choppy. So Airbnb for the same time period from basically September of 2023, we are looking at a very choppy stock for Airbnb. And this is an example of why I don't buy or sell just at the cross. And it's another example of why if we do buy a share of stock and price drops before we're able to sell it, we hold on to it. Because, for example, if I had bought here, I might have bought Airbnb at $118, but when it crossed, I would have sold down here at 105. So rather than selling and taking that loss, we'll just hold on to it. And by chance, it just happened to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days later where we were in profits. And then we would have sold somewhere around in here. But you see how choppy this is compared to Meta. So those are two examples of two different extremes of a choppy stock. And the Meta, which had a year and 3-month run where you didn't have to worry about buying and selling. You could just hold on to it. So that is it for today. So thank you for making it to the end of the video if you did. And if you did make it to the end of this video, that shows that you are already a serious trader or you are seriously thinking about becoming a trader. So please hit that like, share, and subscribe button so we can help you and many other people.